So we're up to way number 35, which is Ohev es hatochachos, loving criticism. So most people obviously do not love criticism. They view it as a personal attack, which triggers a whole host of defense mechanisms. So how do we say loving criticism? It sounds ridiculous. But if you think about it, many businesses hire consultants for millions of dollars to tell them what they're doing wrong. And the more criticisms they dish out, the better, right? So the CEO who hires the consultants to critique his business recognizes the negative impact of not responding to things that are wrong with your business, including ultimately the potential of business failure. So imagine you forgot your wallet in a store, right? And as you're walking out, someone yells to you, "Hey dummy, you forgot your wallet. You should be more careful with it." So you might initially get that the criticism is just unnecessary, but by the same token, you're going to thank the person, and in your own mind, you're going to resolve to do better. So when you see the negative consequences in your actions, you're actually thankful to the person who gives you that insight and helps save you from future potential loss. So number one of loving criticism is that we need criticism to succeed. Right? We can embrace criticism if we have the right attitude. Nobody's perfect. We all need guidance to help us get on track and reach our potential. When we're committed to reaching a goal, we're prepared to seek and accept constructive criticism to help us get there. One reason that we have difficulty accepting criticism is that it often catches us off guard when we're not really emotionally ready for it. On the other hand, when we invite criticism, we're in a position to deal with it calmly and objectively, and we can choose whether the information we're receiving is worth paying attention to or discarding, right? So the fact that we're actively seeking criticism often means that we trust the source that's giving us the criticism as well. So we should get into the habit of seeking out criticism. Like once a month, ask someone you're close to, who you trust and you believe has your best interest at heart, to tell you some things that they think you should change about yourself. And usually the first couple are going to be gimmies, but once they get down into numbers 3, 4, and 5, they might have some insight that you might have otherwise overlooked. Number 2 is to be objective and not defensive, right? The pain that criticism often costs us is basically wounded pride. We walk away from the criticism feeling, I'm no good, but that's a mistake, right? Criticism really means you're good, but you can be better. So A of this is to bypass your instinctive defensive reaction. Don't respond to the criticism immediately. Ponder it first, right? I want to see if there's truth in the criticism that I'm being given. B of this is a method to handle criticism is to depersonalize it, right? What would I do if I saw someone else acting in a certain way and wanted to give him this criticism? Would I believe that it's valid? That helps us kind of take the emotion out of looking at the criticism we're receiving. C of this is recognize that the purpose of criticism is to wake you up and get you back on track. So then you're actually grateful to your critic. So get in the habit of saying, thank you, I really appreciate your pointing that out, even if the first few times you have to mutter it through clenched teeth. So number 3 of this is the second aspect of way number 35 of loving criticism, and this we all do love, is giving others criticism, right? If you see a person bleeding on the sidewalk, you wouldn't just walk by and ignore them. You do whatever you have to help, right? So if you see someone struggling spiritually, emotionally, in whatever way, right, they need help. So help them. Give them the criticism and don't be callous and ignore what's going on. If you see a person acting self-destructively, don't just stand by. They may not realize they need help, but you know that the mistakes will catch up with them and cost them dearly. So giving constructive criticism is an expression of your concern for the person. When you're indifferent, it's easy to be tolerant. You're walking down the street and you see somebody you don't know doing something stupid, right, and dangerous. You're not necessarily going to react to it. But the closer you are to that person, the more you're going to want to react to that situation and give them advice. That's why who criticizes us the most? Right? Generally our spouses and our parents or even close friends. That's because of the love that they feel for us. When they see us wasting our lives or doing something that's wrong or inappropriate or leading us down a bad path, their criticism comes to us from a place of love, so too our criticism for others around us. That's one of the reasons that the Torah juxtaposes the verse, Hocheach tochiach hasamisecha, which is to rebuke your fellow member of the nation, with v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow as your friend, as yourself. Right? These two things go hand in hand. When we're criticizing, if it's being done from a place of love, from a place of closeness, it's actually a sign of that very closeness. Number 4 is to understand how to give criticism. So it's essential to give criticism wisely and with great sensitivity. The goal of giving a rebuke is not to get it off your chest, it's to help the other person and to help them grow from that criticism. So, before criticizing anyone, ask yourself, how would I like to receive a similar criticism? How would I want to be told this? If your criticism is going to create animosity or resentment by default, maybe it's better not to do it, or at least not to do it at that time. So A of this is the first step of correcting anyone and rebuking anyone is to love them. If they feel you have their best interests at heart, they're going to react very differently than if they don't. So B of this is to give 10 portions of love for every 1 portion of rebuke, right? Reassure the person that you're on their side. Many parents make the mistake of thinking they can criticize their child or children without showing them that they love them and that they have their back. But children need to feel that their parents are speaking out of genuine love and caring. They need to reassure, therefore parents need to reassure their children that they're on their side, express their love, and only then give them the advice that's so critical. And number 5 of this is to show it. One of the most effective ways of providing criticism is to use real life examples involving the people that you're talking to. So if you can illustrate for someone when that very behavior caused them pain, you're able to more easily kind of zone them in on the challenge that they're facing and give them advice on how to potentially change it. That's why the word tochacha, which is rebuke, comes from the Hebrew root of hochacha, which is proof, right? If you give someone proof, if you give them a concrete example, then you're no longer talking just generally, and people don't react as quickly to from the perspective of you're just calling me bad. They recognize that it's singular behavior, and that singular behavior can be corrected. So a couple of ideas for this. One, in order to get the most out of living